Dominik Szoboszlai is officially back. After a few good games in a row, he finally showed the world how good he can be with a masterclass performance against the champions Man City. Now in this video, we're going to go through everything he did exactly right and what you may have missed by his brilliant performance on the day. So let's get into it. Now I am a big fan of Dominik Szoboszlai. I think the whole time he's been at Liverpool, he does things really well, but has struggled, you could say, at parts last season. But this season under Arne Slot, he has slowly been building and I think in the last few weeks and this performance against the champions is exactly what you want from him, and if you're a Liverpool fan, you want this to continue as long as possible. Now the first thing that he was incredibly good at was pressing. Now this was a big thing that Liverpool did, and they do at Anfield very early on games, where they just pressed Man City into situations where they couldn't get out and ended up going long, where they won the ball back quite high. Now Liverpool's whole team is very high up the pitch for most of the game. Even their defense is around the halfway line when they want to be in their full control, maybe even further, and this allows specifically their midfield to get even further up the pitch to win the ball back. Szoboszlai was playing in that 10 role, and his job was actually to mark in between Bernardo Silva and Akanji. Now this could be tough because obviously he's got to shadow mark them both and they could maybe get a ball through, but the aim was if they do get a ball through to one of these players, he and a lot of other players close in on them. And at the start of the game, him and all of the attacking line was scary. As soon as Ortega would pass the ball out, they'd all intently run to every player before they even had time to think, and Diaz did this great up front with Szoboszlai closing down players together. And the midfield really worked well to win the ball back as well when they had lost it. Now they lose it in midfield here when they're passing it around, and Man City try to get past them, but as you can see straight away, McAllister is on Haaland, and while he is delaying Haaland from making a pass and he doesn't get the ball, Szoboszlai comes right back into help. Now eventually Haaland goes past him and puts the ball into Gundogan, but Szoboszlai, what he does here is quite intelligent. Straight away he just runs back to try and cover that Akanji pass, the easy pass that he knows Gundogan's going to make, and he's relying on McAllister to now step up and Gravenberch to get there quickly, and Gravenberch does. He blocks that Gundogan pass to Haaland in between the lines, and straight away Szoboszlai is in front of him. Now Szoboszlai, yet again, so intelligent, he just does a little pass into Gravenberch, who then can feed it into Diaz, who's also come deeper to try and help win the ball back, who slips it into Gakpo. And that little touch there, a little pass, may not seem a lot, but it is very good in helping the move flow and winning the ball back first of all. And all of Liverpool's midfield did really well off the ball the whole game, but at the start they were just electric. There was times when McAllister would step up and be that player in between Akanji and Bernardo Silva, and Szoboszlai would mark Gundogan very well, making sure he couldn't get the ball, and then switch up his position to change if Man City were going to run at him. And there's a few times he just really seemed to understand where to be in the right moments in midfield, which isn't going to be judged by statistics, but you can see it in his play. And the reason why this is so effective for Liverpool is not only are they winning the ball further up the pitch, is that they're having players that also love running with it. Now we've explained a few situations where Gravenberch and Szoboszlai passed it off to each other, but there's a few times where Gravenberch picked the ball up from deep and actually ran into the box for Liverpool. He would drag players towards him, which gave significant space to Szoboszlai, who was able to get a few shots away from just outside the box and inside it. That's one of the people that you want having shots in that range, that is the Szoboszlai range, and he had a few really good efforts from these breaks from Liverpool early on. But he was also so intelligent in the defensive transitions for Liverpool that it really gave them a lot going forward. Now when Liverpool had the ball defensively, they were not worried about the Man City press, and overall it wasn't very good. Matheus Nunes was on this left hand side, and he was supposed to man mark Trent to make sure he didn't get the ball from goal kicks. Now the problem that they faced was that Szoboszlai was coming even deeper than they probably imagined, and was coming into a hole where he was in a close proximity to Nunes. This meant Nunes was kind of shadow marking Szoboszlai and Trent, but because of the pace and the technical ability of both of them, he actually found it really hard to get to either of them, and he'd go towards one and they'd end up passing it to the other, who could break away. And this positions by Szoboszlai was a common occurrence. On his average positions of the game, you can see that he's predominantly in the right attacking side, but there's a lot of defensive work as well, and more importantly off the ball when Liverpool had it, he would come into this right back position sort of to help Trent Alexander-Arnold move to where he wants to. Now this is what actually causes the first goal. Szoboszlai is in right back and is being man marked, but at this point Van Dijk is in a left back position swapping with Robertson, who's moved centrally, and Trent is actually close to Van Dijk up on that left hand side getting space, because even though Haaland can press him, as soon as it's passing to Robertson, he presses Robertson, and then there's a gap where Trent is open and he could end up spreading the ball wide to Salah. And this is actually something he did a little bit under Klopp as well, where Szoboszlai would actually cover for Trent went in defensive positions, but now because he's able to get up the field, it works a lot more than I think it did last season. And what I mean by that, when Kwanzaa came on, there was moments where he was behind Kwanzaa and actually in that defensive right back position, but as soon as he'd pass it off to Joe Gomez or Van Dijk, he'd actually run centrally. This is because Liverpool would actually go long a few times to their goalkeeper, and he could get into elevated positions behind the pressing line of Man City, but also be there to counter press if needed. And in some moments was so close to the ball that he was ready to break upon Man City's defence and gave Liverpool a few chances that way. And one of them was created purely just by ingenuity by Szoboszlai. Now he comes deeper to receive the ball, which was causing constant problems for Man City because I think originally Akanji is supposed to go towards him, but because he kept coming so deeper, other players had to pick him up, which was causing a lot of problems with Gravenberch and McAllister moving everywhere. But here he picks the ball up from deeper. Van Dijk puts the ball in. I think he tries to get it to McAllister, but overhits it, ends up going to Szoboszlai, and he's just so quick to instantly pass it to McAllister and go on the run behind the defender, in which he is found and then can progress the ball. Not only that, he puts the ball out wide to Gakpo and then actually goes and overlaps Gakpo, giving him another option. This is great because it means Diaz can actually stick inside the box, Salah can stick out wide or get into the end of it, and offers, if enough time is in there for people like Robertson and McAllister to create them triangles in there, it just gives the option that he deserves when he's there, and it's the complete right decision to make. And his decision making just kept getting better as the game went on. There was times where he was going into the central areas and being the main striker just on the break so he can take players away from the wingers, and then picking the ball up and just holding onto it late on to keep it into the corner was just brilliant all round, and it was a great performance by Szoboszlai, one of the best he's had in a Liverpool shirt for sure. And now overall, looking at some of his stats, they were great. He was the second most passes in the Liverpool team completed with 55, and as you can see, they are all about everywhere, even coming deeper to help the team. He had the most distance covered in the game overall, had the most sprints and the most sprint distance. He had 3 total shots and ended up creating 4 chances overall, and made 5 passes into the final third, made 3 out of 7 accurate long balls, made 1 out of 3 cross, and had 2 touches in the opposition box, which I think shows what sort of player he was. He was creating for people from deep, and as soon as it would get into the final third, he allowed other players to take control unless he was going to have a shot. And you definitely can tell he worked so hard, with 7 recoveries in this game, 3 defensive actions and 1 interception with 1 tackle completed. It really shows a big difference in his performances now than what they have been before, and I do think it's his best game in a Liverpool shirt. But more importantly, Arne Slot has found a way for Szoboszlai to work within this team, and there was definitely complaints that he was in this game and not Curtis Jones, who has been fantastic as well this season. But he has got a role where he can be smart with the ball. He doesn't need to overcomplicate things in the final third and can rely on brilliant players around him such as McAllister and Gravenberch to feed off of and get even better. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.